The people took to complaining bitterly before their power. The Most High heard and was incensed. A fire of the guardian of Israel broke out against them, ravaging the outskirts of the camp. The people cried out to Moshe. Moshe prayed to their power, and the fire died down. That place was named Habor, because a fire of their power had broken out against them. The riffraff in their midst felt a gluttonous craving, and then the Israelites wept and said, "If only we had meat to eat. We remember the fish that we used to eat free in Egypt, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, and the garlic. Now our gullets are shriveled. There is nothing at all, nothing but this manna to look to." Now the manna was like coriander seed, and in color it was like bdellium. The people would go about and gather it, grind it between millstones, or pound it in a mortar, boil it in a pot, and make it into cakes. It tasted like rich cream. When the dew fell on the camp at night, the manna would fall upon it. Moshe heard the people weeping, every clan apart, each person at the entrance of his tent. The Most High was very angry, and Moshe was distressed. And Moshe said unto his power, "Why have you dealt ill with your servant? And why have I not enjoyed your favor, that you have laid the burden of all this people upon me? Did I conceive all this people? Did I bear them, that you should say to me, carry them in your bosom as a nurse carries an infant, to the land that you have promised on oath to their fathers? Where am I to get meat to give to all this people, when they whine before me and say, give us meat to eat? I cannot carry all this people by myself, for it is too much for me. If you would deal thus with me, heal me rather, I beg you, and let me see no more of my wretchedness." Then the Most High said to Moshe, "Gather for me 70 of Israel's elders, of whom you have experience as elders and officers of the people, and bring them to the tent of meeting, and let them take their place there with you. I will come down and speak with you there, and I will draw upon the Spirit that is on you, and put it upon them. They shall share the burden of the people with you, and you shall not bear it alone. And say to the people, purify yourselves for tomorrow, and you shall eat meat, for you have kept whining before your power, and saying, if only we had meat to eat. Indeed, we were better off in Egypt. The Most High will give you meat, and you shall eat. You shall eat, not 1 day, not 2, not even 5 days, or 10, or 20, but a whole month, until it comes out of your nostrils and becomes loathsome to you. For you have rejected the Most High who is among you, by whining before him and saying, oh, why did we ever leave Egypt? But Moshe said, the people who are with me number 600,000 men. Yet you say, I will give them enough meat to eat for a whole month? Could enough flocks and herds be slaughtered to suffice them? Or could all the fish of the sea be gathered for them to suffice them? And the Most High answered Moshe, is there a limit to the Most High's power? You shall soon see whether what I have said happens to you or not. Moshe went out and reported the words of the Most High to the people. He gathered 70 of the people's elders and stationed them around the tent. Then the Most High came down in a cloud and spoke to him. He drew upon the spirit that was on him and put it upon the 70 elders. And when the spirit rested upon them, they spoke in ecstasy, but did not continue. 2 men, one named Eldad and the other Medad, had remained in camp, yet the Spirit rested upon them. They were among those recorded, but they had not gone out to the tent, and they spoke in ecstasy in the camp. A youth ran out and told Moshe, saying, Eldad and Medad are acting the prophet in the camp. And Joshua, son of Nun, Moshe's attendant from his youth, spoke up and said, my power, Moshe, restrain them. But Moshe said to him, "Are you wrought up on my account? Was that all the Most High's people were prophets, that the Most High put his spirit upon them?" Moshe then re-entered the camp, together with the elders of Israel. A wind from the Most High started up, swept quail from the sea, and strewed them over the camp, about a day's journey on this side and about a day's journey on that side, all around the camp, and some 2 cubits deep on the ground. The people sat to gathering quail all that day and night, and all that next day, even he who gathered least had 10 homers, and they spread them out all around the camp. The meat was still between their teeth, not yet chewed, when the anger of the Most High blazed forth against the people, and the Most High struck the people with a very severe plague. That place was named Kibroth Hattava, because the people who had craving were buried there. Then the people set out from Kibroth Hattava for Hazeroth when they were in Miara, a cavern or cave. Miara. Keep that in your mind. Miara, a cave. Salal, to mound up, cast up, exalt, extol, make plain, raise up. Salal, to mound up, to raise up. Solela, a military mound. From Salal, to mound up. Solela, a military mound. Kibra, or burying place, grave, sepulcher. Kibra, burying place. Kibra, burying place, grave. Kibroth Hattava, the burial place of those Israelites who didn't want to eat the manna, the graves of the longing. Kibroth Hattava, a place in the desert, the graves of the longing. Kibra, burying place. Kibroth Hattava, a place in the desert, the graves of the longing. This universe often began as a dark sea of primordial waters, or as Genesis puts it, a world without form. A second shared belief is that the bowl of heaven is linked through the various cosmic layers. Historians of the 20th century stress the importance of the axis mundi, which join the living and spiritual worlds at a mythic center. And the supernatural power filled the other worlds and approached the surface of the earth at sacred locations, such as caves. We're talking Miara, prominent mountain peaks and permanent springs. When there were no depths, I was brought forth. When there were no fountains abounding with water, before the mountains were settled, before the hills was I brought forth. While as yet he had not made the earth, nor the fields, nor the beginning of the dust of the world. When he established the heavens, I was there. When he sat a circle upon the face of the deep. When he set a circle upon the face of the deep. We're talking Rakia, or the firmament, the great deep, and the waters above the firmament. We got the firmament, we got the earth, surrounded by water. We got the firmament, we got the earth, that what's underneath the earth, and everything surrounded by water. Such sacred places, natural or man-made, played a vital role in all societies. Settings for their rituals that ensured the continuity of cultural traditions, passed from one generation to the next, sacred mountains such as the Black Hills or places such as Condor Cave in Southern California's San Rafael Wilderness, saying these were interchangeable points, cosmic axes where spirit beings could travel into the natural world, they say. We're talking the Black Hills in South Dakota, and Condor Cave. This image doesn't do it justice. Imagine this top part is a cliff in the desert, and on the side of this cliff is what you call Condor Cave. Let that marinate. Shamans, or Chumash priests, they say, are thought to have made these paintings in Condor Cave to influence supernatural beings and forces to intervene in human affairs or natural phenomena. What do we know? Atmospheric phenomena, natural phenomena. We're talking dracons. Condor Cave. To demolish a sacred place was to destroy the essence of human existence itself. The third common belief of human cosmology is that the material and spiritual worlds formed a continuum, saying an external landscape on Earth was also an internal landscape of the mind, or landscape of the memory, and other phenomena had spiritual associations and their places in local mythology. We're talking phenomena, aerial phenomena, atmospheric phenomena. In the past, the cave functioned as a primordial sacred place. We're talking Miara, Kibroth, Hatava, the graves of the longing. Caves also served as the entrance to the spiritual world. The art of being a shaman, they say. We're talking flickering darkness with rhythmic drumming and bone flutes, imitating animal and bird sounds, created a multimedia effect. So they're saying, imagine a shaman, or priest if you will, in a cave, drumming, playing the flute, imitating bird sounds, how it may have sounded off the walls or the echoes, or what they're calling the multimedia effect. We're talking Genesis 23. Sarah's lifetime, the span of Sarah's life, came to 127 years. Sarah died in Kiriath Arba, now Hebron, in the land of Canaan, and Abraham proceeded to mourn for Sarah and to bewail her. Then Abraham rose from beside his dead and spoke to the Hittites, saying, I am a resident alien among you. Sell me a burial site among you, that I may remove my dead for burial. And the Hittites replied to Abraham, saying to him, Hear us, my Lord. You are the elect of the Most High among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our burial places. None of us will withhold his burial place from you for burying your dead. Thereupon Abraham bowed low to the people of the land, the Hittites, and he said to them, If it is your wish that I remove my dead for burial, you must agree to intercede for me with Ephron, son of Zohar. Let him sell me the cave of Machpelah that he owns, which is at the edge of this land. Let him sell it to me at the full price for a burial site in your midst. Ephron was present among the Hittites. So Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the hearing of the Hittites, all who entered the gate of his town, saying, No, my Lord, hear me. I give you the field and I give you the cave that is in it. I give it to you in the presence of my people. Bury your dead. Then Abraham bowed low before the people of the land and spoke to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, saying, If only you would hear me out, let me pay the price of the land. Accept it from me, that I may bury my dead there. And Ephron replied to Abraham, saying to him, My Lord, do you hear me? A piece of land worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between you and me? Go and bury your dead. Abraham accepted Ephron's terms. Abraham paid out to Ephron the money that he had named in the hearing of the Hittites, 400 shekels of silver at the going merchant's rate. So Ephron's land in Machpelah, near Mamre, the field with its cave, and all the trees anywhere within the confines of that field passed to Abraham as his possession in the presence of the Hittites, of all who entered the gate of his town. And then Abraham buried his wife Sarah in the cave of the field of Machpelah, facing Mamre, now Hebron, in the land of Canaan. Thus the field with its cave passed from the Hittites to Abraham as a burial site. And then Abraham buried his wife Sarah in the cave of the field of Machpelah, facing Mamre, now Hebron, in the land of Canaan. Thus the field with its cave passed from the Hittites to Abraham as a burial site. We're talking burial sites here. Miara, caves. Kibra, caves. Obsidian, a fine volcanic glass, was highly prized by ancient stoneworkers, including the Eastern Mediterranean and Mesoamerica. Fortunately for science, they say, each obsidian source has its own distinctive signature in the form of trace elements, thereby allowing archaeologists to source obsidian fragments hundreds of miles from their original location. So they're saying they have a technology, so they say, that can trace and track obsidian based off the trace elements found in the stone. We're talking obsidian, we're talking volcanoes. Western half of the United States, we have, let's count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Let that sink in. We have 20 said volcanoes in the southwestern, western, northwestern United States, including Alaska and Hawaii. And of those 20 said volcanoes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of the 20 volcanoes have been active in the past 2,000 years, they say. We're talking obsidian. We're connecting the dots here. We're just following the drinking gourd. Just follow me on this one. I got one for you today, O Jacob. Glass Mountain obsidian flow at Medicine Lake Volcano, California. Young obsidian flow, Medicine Lake Volcano, California. We're talking the huddled dwellings of Karahoyuk in the foreground, while a twin-peaked volcano erupts in the distance. The mountains must be Hasan Dagh, the only twin-peaked mountain in Turkey, the source of the magical obsidian that brought the town its prosperity. Obsidian's volcanic origin may have linked it to the other world, beneath the earth. This potent material was a gift of earth, of the land that brought forth crops and life itself. Remember, we're talking obsidian, we're talking volcanoes, we're talking volcanoes, we're talking dracons. Karahoyuk in Turkey is this burial site, or mound if you will, that they're currently digging. Within this burial site and or mound, if you will, that they're digging in Turkey, Karahoyuk, they find a depiction of an enormous vulture attacking two headless figures, one crouched like a corpse, part of a shrine, Shrine 7 in Karahoyuk, Turkey. We're talking obsidian, we're talking volcanoes, we're talking volcanoes. We're talking dragons. In the year 1649, Aubrey tells us he was, in quote, wonderfully surprised at the sight of these vast stones of which I had never heard before. King Charles II read his descriptions, announced his intention to visit the site, and instructed Aubrey to dig for human bones. Aubrey took a survey of the earthworks and stone circles. King Charles II himself visited the site with Aubrey in 1663, and together they climbed Silbury Hill. We're just connecting the dots, staying in check, searching for the Melchizedek. The stone circles in Avebury, southern England. We're just talking stone circles here. Let me know what you think. Leave a note in the comments. We're just connecting the dots here. Avebury stone circles dated to pre-Roman times. Pre-Roman times. He considered the builders of the stone circles, in quote, ancient Britons or savages who lived in a shady, dismal wood. He compared them to Native Americans. Again, we're just connecting the dots here. They were 2 or 3 degrees, I suppose, less savage than the Americans. We're talking ancient Britons here. We're talking Americans, copper-colored cons found here in America. You make the connection. Stukely was preoccupied with ancient Celtic priests. Again, is King Arthur really a Hebrew legend found in America? Let me know what you think. The celebrated Druids that Roman general Julius Caesar observed in 55 BC. We're talking the celebrated Druids and their connection to the ancient Britons and Native Americans, they say. What happened to the Druids in Anglesey? Suetonius and his soldiers then roamed across the island, destroying the Druids' sacred oak groves, smashing their altars and temples, and killing anyone they could find. The Roman general next proceeded to establish a garrison on Anglesey, a military fortress that kept the native tribes in total subjugation. Native tribes in total subjugation. We're talking the death of the Druids. The mound in the dark grove, a burial site on the island of Anglesey. A burial site, the mound in the dark grove. So I did a little research. Essentially, when the sun rises at a certain point, it hits through this entrance, if you will, I guess pings off this stone, and then you can locate or visibly see the equinox or something of that nature. Nonetheless, very ancient handiwork, if you will. The mound in the dark grove. The Avebury long burrows form a dense group. A few are little more than piles of chalk and sarsen stones. So we're going to connect the dots with these mounds they found in Avebury, I believe to be Great Britain or England. The first sepulchres were modest structures. We're talking Kebra, we're talking Miara, we're talking cave, temples. West Kennet, the most famous of Avebury's ancient burial places. The West Kennet Long Burrow lies on a ridge 2 kilometers southeast of Avebury, a much eroded earthen mound. Form a dense group. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, at least 7 that they put on the map, mounds that are all somewhat connected to the ancient Druids, the ancient Britons, and the Americans, they say, or Americans, if you will. Map showing the archaeological sites mentioned in chapter 6 and 7. We're talking Avebury. West Kennet is a classic megalithic tomb. Megaliths are widely distributed in Western Europe. They vary greatly in design from simple, box-like chambers under circular burial mounds. The earliest and most widespread of megaliths are the passage graves, thus allowing repeated access long after the mound was completed. We're talking mound builders in England and their connection to the Americans. We got another one, the West Kennet Long Barrows. Another aerial view. We're talking Miara Cave, Miara, Kebra, caves, caverns. A rendering of West Kennet Long Barrow. We're talking cave, burial, grave sites here. Let me know what you think. Leave a note in the comments. We're just getting started. We're just connecting the dots, staying in check, searching for the Melchizedek. Megaliths were usually communal sepulchres. Several archaeologists dug the West Kennet burial chambers. Together they recovered the fragmentary remains of at least 46 people, whereas the southwest and northwest chambers held both male and female remains. Piggott and Atkinson believed that the placement of young and old in spatial opposition had symbolic significance. We're talking burial chambers here, built by local farmers, they say. So they say. Windmill Hill, atop a strategic hill with a commanding view. At a natural junction between well-defined high downs and river valley lands, 3 concentric ditches and banks enclose about 9 hectares of unexcavated causeways that break up the ditches. Another ceremonial structure stood on prominent Overton Hill. William Stukeley comprised a series of roofed circular buildings, originally built of wood and later of timber and sarsen stones. We're talking oak groves here. We're talking the sanctuary. They say the stages of the sanctuary. Again, what are they doing at the sanctuary? Let me show you. Fragmentary animal remains, as if funerary rites and feasting occurred within the precincts, where the corpse of a dead person lay perhaps on a platform until decomposed, or until animals and birds had defleshed the bones. Conceivably, the building performed a similar function to Windmill Hill, a place where the newly deceased turned into ancestors, a process that took months. We're talking the sanctuary, ancient burial sites here, the ancient Britons and the so-called Americans. The West Kennet Avenue linking the sanctuary and the Avebury earthworks was completed. The farmers then built Silbury Hill. It seems these farmers were very busy building rather than farming. Let me know what you think. Leave a note in the comments. So busy building that it is a stupendous earthen mound that rivals in the size the Pyramid of Khufu at Giza by the Nile River. Again, we're just connecting the dots, staying in check, searching for the Melchizedek. I don't even have to do it. They put it right here in your face. We're talking the connection between the ancient Britons and the Americans, copper-colored cons, found here in America. Like UB is America, Egypt. Stupendous earthen mound. The farmers built a mound with a moat when they were supposed to be farming. Silbury Hill. I believe this is Stonehenge. Again, and I can't make this up. In 1906, Britain's Astronomer Royal said that Stonehenge was an astronomical observatory. Its great stones aligned with the movements of the sun. He studied the orientations of ancient Egyptian temples before turning his attention to Stonehenge. He used a straight siding line down the center of the avenue as his primary axis, as it passed close to an earthwork on Sidbury Hill. Most experts dismissed the observatory theory outright and found new alignments for the equinoxes and the moon. Stone holes, earthworks, and other fixed points, with a network of 13 solar and 11 lunar alignments. Hawkins called Stonehenge a Neolithic computer used for predicting lunar eclipses. So everyone has a theory on this so-called Stonehenge. Let me know what you think. Leave a note in the comments. So-called Stonehenge. We're talking Neolithic computers, they say, in connection with the ancient Britons and the Americans. Since Stonehenge is only one of many stone circles in Britain, Tom developed a theory of megalithic astronomy. His precise figures convinced him that the builders had used a standardized measurement, which he called a megalithic yard. With them, they aligned with the stars or the directions of the solar and lunar cycles. Tom came up with two startling conclusions. Stonehenge was oriented on the half-risen solstice. Stonehenge was a highly sophisticated astronomical observatory. Considered the stone circles as a central backsite, used with no less than 8 foresights, mostly earthworks identified on the visible horizon. So what he's really saying is, Stonehenge was like an ancient telescope, if you will. It was a tool used to track the stars, using earthworks identified on the visible horizon. Again, these farmers were more busy building than farming. Let me know what you think. Leave a note in the comments. Ancient America. Again, I'm just connecting the dots here. Let me know what you think. Leave a note in the comment box. Adina and Hopewell. We're going to start in the west and we're going to make our way east here, Jacob. Is America really Egypt? Let me know what you think. Leave a note in the comments. Shout out to everybody on YouTube. I salute you. You all inspire me to keep going. We're talking Pueblo Bonito. Oh, Pueblo Bonito. In dendrochronology, short of historical records, dendrochronology, or tree ring dating, is the most accurate chronological method, they say. Developed the first tree ring timescales in the Southwest in 1913. We're talking the American Southwest in 1913, using sequoias and bristlecone pines, two of the longest living trees in the world. Two of the longest living trees in the world. Few regions enjoy the precise chronologies of the Southwest. North American sequences based on the bristlecone pine tree extend back to more than 8,200 years, they say. Those based on German oaks to 10,000 years before. So they say. We're talking bristlecone pines, one of the oldest living trees in the world. At Pueblo Bonito, a pair of earthen mounds, originally thought to be trash heaps, were found to be defined by masonry walls and formal stairwells, forming a visual link and a symbolic avenue between the Great Kiva and the isolated Great Kiva and nearby Casa Rinconada. Pueblo Bonito in the American Southwest. Casa Rinconada. They explored more than 200 mounds and 100 earthen enclosures between 1845 and 1847. They represent the only record of now destroyed archaeological sites. Ancient Monuments of the Mississippi Valley appeared in 1848, the first volume on the natural sciences. Prophetically referred to some of the enclosures as, in quote, sacred earthworks. They also remarked on the many skeletons found in mounds, both large and small. Skeletons, both large and small. Mounds, both large and small. After the Anglo-French War ended in 1756, settlers moved westward, across the Alleghenies into the Mississippi Valley. They discovered that they were not the first inhabitants of this apparent virgin landscape. They found hundreds of mounds and other earthworks. Hundreds of mounds and other earthworks. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 just around the Ohio River, not to include the many in between, and the major ones in Etowah, Georgia, Moundville, Alabama, and Cahokia, St. Louis. Map showing the archaeological sites. We're talking mound, cities, Tecumseh. Tecumseh stomps down every house in Tuckabashie town. Stratigraphic excavation of an Indian burial mound on his Virginia estate in 1784. Layers of human bones argued. He described layers of human bones and argued that the mound was built by ancestors of local Indians. Jefferson's sober observations were ignored. Was Jefferson correct? Or were Canaanites, the 10 lost tribes of Israel, or some other long-vanished civilization responsible for them? Again, I don't even have to make the connection. They make the connection for you. The mound was built by ancestors of local Indians, they say. Was Jefferson correct? Or were Canaanites, the 10 lost tribes of Israel, or some other long-vanished civilization responsible for them? You let me know. Leave a note in the comments. We're talking Genesis 25. Abraham took another wife, whose name was Keturah. She bore him Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Jokshan begot Sheba and Dedan. The descendants of Dedan were the Ashurim, the Letushim, and the Lumim. The descendants of Midian were Ephah, Epher, Enoch, Abidah, and Eldah. All these were descendants of Keturah. Abraham willed all that he owned to Isaac, but to Abraham's sons by concubines, Abraham gave gifts while he was still living, and he sent them away from his son Isaac eastward to the land of the east. This was the total span of Abraham's life, 175 years, and Abraham breathed his last, dying at a good ripe age, old and contented, and he was gathered to his kin. His sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah, in the field of Ephron, son of Zohar, the Hittite, facing Mamre, the field that Abraham had bought from the Hittites. There Abraham was buried, and Sarah his wife. After the death of Abraham, Hawab blessed his son Isaac, and Isaac settled near Beer Lahai. This is the line of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's slave, bore to Abraham. These are the names of the sons of Ishmael, by their names in the order of their birth: Nebaioth, the firstborn of Ishmael, Kedar, Adbeel, Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Masa, Hadad, Tima, Jatur, Naphish, and Kedma. These are the sons of Ishmael, and these are their names by their villages and by their encampments, 12 chieftains of as many tribes. These were the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years. Then he breathed his last and died, and was gathered to his kin. They dwelt from Havilah by Shur, which is close to Egypt, all the way to Assur. They camped alongside all their kinsmen. His sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah, in the field of Ephron, son of Zohar the Hittite, facing Mamre, the field that Abraham had bought from the Hittites. There Abraham was buried, and Sarah his wife. We're talking Miara, we're talking mounds, we're talking Kibra, we're talking Miara, the cave of Machpelah. The mound builder controversy continued. They wrote stirring epics of vast armies who buried their dead by the thousands in high burial mounds. We're talking Kibroth, Ha-Tava, the graves of the longing. Those Israelites who didn't want to eat the manna. They wrote stirring epics of vast armies who buried their dead by the thousands. Behemoth, a legend of the mound builders, told how a huge, mammoth-like beast ravaged towns. Then a heroic mound builder warrior named Bokula defeated Behemoth with cunning wiles and saved civilization. So we're talking the farmer warrior versus the giant. Let me know what you think. Leave a note in the comments. I cannot make this up. I'm just staying in check, searching for the Melchizedek. So many of these earthworks get turned into golf courses and parks and recreation. This is the Newark Mound in Ohio, the Newark Earthworks, which is now a golf course, the Newark Works. Named after a burial mound on the Adena estate near Chillicothe, Ohio. Are we talking Chillicothe? Are we talking Chillicothe? Ohio. Tecumseh. Adena is a somewhat shadowy cultural entity, virtually indistinguishable from dozens of contemporary societies, except for an extraordinary preoccupation with burial and mortuary rites. To 500 Adena tumuli lie within a 150-mile radius of Chillicothe. The Adena people cremated most of their dead, they say. However, their bodies lay on platforms or in temporary graves until their flesh decayed. Are we talking mummification here? One skeleton from the crescent upper levels held a lightly polished human skull in its lap, as if cradling a revered ancestor or a prized war trophy. In the Ayers Mound in Kentucky, next to the cranium lay a wolf's palate with the incisors still in position. The wolf or animal was thought to have special powers. Adena burials sometimes contained smoking pipes and other paraphernalia. We're talking the Crescent Mound. Again, imagine these ancient burial sites being continuously dug up, destroyed, and looted. Winding inter-villages paths linked the copper outcrops of Lake Superior with the Mississippi Valley into the heart of the Midwest, even the Rocky Mountains into the eastern woodlands. Such trading activity required well-developed diplomatic skills and much closer ties with individuals and communities that were great distances away. Individual ties with their social equivalents elsewhere, cherishing personal contacts over many years. These new notions revolved in part around the use of the heavenly bodies to measure the passage of seasons and to reproduce the cosmos on the landscape. The powerful duality of opposites, such as fire and water. The graves of their owners and groups are under the generic name Hopewell, named after a complex of mounds and other earthworks on a farm of that name in Ross County, Ohio. Perhaps simple farmers. Again, farmers were too busy building rather than farming. We're talking Hopewell Mound Group, Hopewell, Ohio, a generic name. Hopewell Burial Mound Complexes covered areas as large as several New York City blocks. The Seat Mound in the Ohio Valley was as wide as an American football field. The Seat Mound in the Ohio Valley is as wide as an American football field. Each represents over 200 hours of earthworks. Again, these simple farmers are too busy building rather than farming. Hopewell communities built ceremonial compounds and varied in precise geometric shapes. At Mound City, Ohio, 24 burial mounds lie within an enclosure, an area equivalent to the base of the Great Pyramid, Khufu, at Giza, Egypt. Much like Silbury Hill in England, we're talking ancient Britons and Americans, copper-colored cons found here in America. Again, these farmers were more busy building rather than farming. At Mound City, 24 burial mounds lie within an enclosure equivalent to the base of the Great Pyramid of Khufu at Giza. Mound City, Ross County, Ohio, next to the Scioto River. We're talking Tecumseh and them. Tecumseh and them. Chillicothe, Ohio. Mound City, stand up. Let's go. We're talking, in quote, the Egyptians of North America. In quote, the Egyptians of North America. Warren Moorhead dug into 15 or 30 burial mounds to acquire exhibits for the 1893 World's Fair. Come on, man. I can't make this up. Moorhead uncovered a group of 48 burials, a remarkable collection of copper artifacts, metal breastplates, and 67 axes. Let me run that back. There were found the skeletons of a young man and woman lying side by side. Both wore artificial noses fashioned of copper sheet and necklaces of grizzly bear teeth and copper ear ornaments, and buttons of copper-covered wood and stone swathed the woman's body. Another Hopewell mound yielded a skeleton buried with a cache of several hundred pounds of obsidian. Bang, bang, we're talking obsidian. Only place you get obsidian is from volcanoes. All 20 of the volcanoes they had listed are in the western part of the United States. How did it end up here in Hopewell? You let me know. Leave a note in the comments saying it originated in Idaho and Wyoming. Come on, man. Who are these people, man? We're talking Americans. Cons. Archaeologists and treasure hunters have unearthed more than 1,100 prominent individuals from Ohio burial mounds on isolated high ground clear of the settlement and then sunk into the soil and covered with heavy roofs. Charnel houses, apparently reserved for more important individuals. Once the houses were full or the bodies had decayed, their descendants burnt down the structure and erected an earthen mound atop the ruins. We're talking the Egyptians of North America, and erected earthen mounds atop the ruins. We're talking mummification here. We got the log crypt at the bottom. Then you build on top of that the primary mound. On top of the primary, you build the secondary. There's levels to this, oh Jacob. Let me know what you think. Leave a note in the comments. There are levels to this, oh Jacob. We're talking the Egyptians of North America. The octagon design defines 4 lunar alignments, 2 rising points, and southern minimum of the moon's passage in the heavens. The high bank avenue through the circle and octagon allows an observer to observe the winter solstice over the northwestern corner of the octagon. A convenient gap in the circle earthwork permits the watcher to sight the solstice line through the left of the edge of the gap. Again, we're talking ancient telescopes here. These simple farmers were more busy building rather than farming. In some respects, Adena mounds and Hopewell earthworks are similar to Avebury. Again, just connecting the dots here, with its communal barrows and causewayed enclosures. Newark and other astronomical monuments or telescopes and ancient technology, if you will, connecting Avebury and Ohio, ancient Britons, ancient Americans. The last time I walked the Newark ruin field, I admired the precision of the layout and the exactness of the entrances to the octagon. Again, these farmers were very busy, but they were not farming, they were building. Stonehenge, where the stone circles welcome the sun's rays at the solstice. As early morning sunlight flashes into the interior of the ancient temple, Newark has the same intent.